Hello, and welcome to this Foster Care Institute online training webinar Bullying and Children in Foster Care, Part 1 Recognizing the Signs and the Dangers. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, the founder and director of the Foster Care Institute. I am also an author of over a dozen foster care books. I am an international speaker and trainer, and I am a parent, a foster, adoptive, and biological parent to over 60 plus children. Our goal during this at-home online training webinar is to increase the awareness of what bullying is and how to identify different types of bullying and those who bully others. Some of our key objectives in this webinar is to increase your awareness of what bullying is, to help you understand what might lead some to bully others, and to better understand the different forms of bullying. Now, chances are we have all been bullied at some point in our lives. I know I have. I recall the day when I was in 5th grade and some people were picking on me simply because the fact that I wore glasses. I also recall one day coming home from school and the bus stopped in front of my house to drop me off, and two bullies also exited the bus in front of my home. And to be quite honest with you, they beat me up, and it was a time of some trauma for me, and I still remember to this day. So chances are you've been bullied in some point in your life as well. Or maybe at some point, in some way, you might have been the bully yourself. Now, if you're watching this webinar with somebody else, I would like you to pause it for just a moment. For just a moment and discuss this question, this important question, with the other people you're watching this webinar with. How have you been bullied in some way in your life? And how did it affect you? In order for us to truly understand how children are bullied and how it affects them, we have to recognize how it may have affected our own life. So again, I would ask and encourage you to, just a moment or two, to pause this webinar, hit the pause key, and go ahead and discuss how you have been bullied in some way in your life and how did it affect you. And we will wait for you at the next slide. According to the National Center for Education statistic, 20% of children age 12 to 18 report being bullied. Now, I say that again, have reported being bullied. That means 2 out of every 10 children, or 1 out of 5, have reported being bullied. That's not the children who have not reported it. Those are simply those who chose to report it. We do not have statistics about how many children have been reported who have not reported it themselves. Those are staggering statistics. 1 out of 5, 20%. Now, before we begin to look at what types of bullying there are and who might bully people, we need to look at the different kinds of bullying, if you will. To begin with, there is the physical type of bullying. This is the most common form of bullying, and to be honest, it is the easiest to identify. Those who physically bully another use physical power. They use this physical power to intimidate their victim, to bully their intended victims. Now, examples of physical bullying might include kicking somebody or hitting somebody, punching another, or slapping someone, shoving another person, or other kinds of physical attacks. Again, this is a form of bullying known as physical bullying. Verbal bullying is when a bully might use words or statements or some type of insult or even name calling to intimidate their victim. It is more difficult to identify this type of bullying, though it is quite common. Why might it be difficult to identify this type of bullying? Well, when the accused, or the victim, I should say, when the victim accuses the bully of intimidating them or calling them names through verbal bullying, the accused can simply deny it. There is no physical evidence of this form of bullying. We all have heard the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. My friend, you know this is a lie. This is a lie. Those names, those taunts, those words, hey, they do hurt. And they can last with us for the rest of our life. This type of bullying can lead to tremendous trauma for someone. Lifelong trauma. Now, perhaps the most popular form of bullying today, one that is increasing dramatically, is that of cyberbullying. This form of bullying has indeed increased dramatically as children inhabit an online world and social media. We have a webinar here at the Foster Care Institute all about cyberbullying. Yet, what I want you to understand here briefly is that while you and I might live in an online world, the children that we care for inhabit this world of social media, this online world. And there are those bullies who wait for them there. They use their phones, their computers, their online devices, and social media to target their victims. Cyberbullies often say things they do not have the courage to say to someone face to face. Because when there is that face to face interaction, we see the result of how our words might hurt someone, so we do not push the issue, so to speak. Instead, when a bully uses cyber and online technology, this technology makes them feel anonymous. It makes them feel insulated and detached from the situation. And therefore, they feel that they can bully somebody without consequence. Now, during cyberbullying, bullies can get to their victim anytime, anywhere. Many times, the victims are bullied in the safety of their own home. They're bullied in the safety of their own home because when they are around this online technology and social media, through their phones, through their laptops, through their online devices, this bullying is truly a 24-hour type of bullying, and the victim cannot escape it. Some types of examples of cyberbullying include posting hurtful images, making online threats, sending hurtful emails or texts, or even stalking their victims, all online. Another form of bullying is prejudicial bullying. This type of bullying is based upon prejudices of race or skin color, of religion, even sexual orientation. Sexual bullying is when a bully targets their victim through repeated harmful and humiliating actions in a fashion that is sexual, in a sexual fashion, if you will. And some examples of sexual bullying might include sexual name calling or crude comments, some vulgar gestures or uninviting touching, some sexual propositioning or pornographic materials. Sexual bullying might also lead to sexting. And we have an online training webinar here all about sexting. Briefly, though, let's look at it. Sexting might include an example of a message or a post online written with sexual language or nude or semi nude photo videos. Some other examples of sexting might include photos or videos of sexual acts or live chats with someone on a webcam involving sexual acts, screen captured photos or videos recorded from a webcam. Again, we go into great detail about sexting in the online Foster Care Institute training webinar on sexting. You can find that, of course, at the Foster Care Institute. But let's go on and look at other forms of bullying. Relational bullying is when a bully targets their intended victim. They target their victim, a victim that they know, in an attempt to sabotage their social standing, if you will, with others. Relational bullying is when a bully already knows their victim, and examples of this might be to keep their victim, someone they know, from a peer group. They might spread rumors about someone they know or manipulate situations, maybe even break confidences of promises. Now, in relational bullying, the bully is often someone very popular in a social setting or environment. This type of bullying is mostly verbal or emotional type of bullying. The bully might spread rumors or gossip or name call. And this type of bullying is often done because the bully wants to maintain a sense of popularity. Looking at the types of bullies, there are the bully victims. These bullies have often been bullied themselves in the past. They might bully others in an attempt to feel better about themselves, to regain a sense of power, to regain a sense of self control. This is a common form of a bully, someone who has been bullied themselves and it is now taking it on others. These bullies might come from a home of domestic violence or home of abuse or neglect. They may have been bullied themselves by an older sibling. This type of bullying is often a formed learned I'm sorry, is a learned behavior because they were bullied themselves in some fashion. So it's something they've learned and they're passing it on. And these types of bullies, these victims, if you will, are often loners in society, loners at school, loners in social settings. Group bullying is when a bully joins a group of others. They often have a sense of a pack mentality, these group bullies, if you will. The bully may act different, though, when not in the group, even when separate with the victim. They will act different towards the victim if they are alone with the victim, but when they're in a group setting, they often bully that victim. When there's group bullying, the bully themselves often does not feel responsible for their actions because they see everyone else doing it, so to speak. There is the indifferent bully. The indifferent bully often feels no empathy for their actions. The indifferent bully may appear cold or unfeeling. The indifferent bully might feel unsympathetic and have no remorse for their actions, have no remorse when they bully or pick on others. The indifferent bully is one who enjoys watching others suffer. Indeed, indifferent bullies often have deep psychological problems. The popular bully. This type of bully has a large ego, is very, very confident about themselves, and at the same time condescending towards others. The popular bully might feel a sense of entitlement. Now, popular bullies often have a group of followers like the group bully. This bully thrives on the attention of others and indeed creates that group bullies, if you will, which we looked at previously. The serial bully is often a bully who's found in a popular circle or cliques, if you will. A serial bully is one who's very, very calculated and controlled, quite systematic in their bullying approach. Serial bullies are very skilled at manipulating others and lying to others. The serial bully may appear innocent to others while they sneak and bully their victim. But who is bullied? What type of children are easily bullied? Let's look at the type of children who often become victims of bullying. To begin with, those children with illnesses and disabilities of some sort may be a victim of bullying. Now, whether this illness or disability is something like ADHD, or maybe they have a food allergy of some kind, or dyslexia, or whatever else condition they might suffer from, bullies may target them and make jokes about their conditions. Distinctive physical appearances. Children who look different in some way, in some fashion, who have a distinctive physical appearance, if you will, may be targeted by bullies. These distinctive physical appearances might be glasses or acne, maybe facial features or weight. Intelligence and creativity. Children who are very, very quick to learn in the classroom, who are overly creative in some fashion, who may be gifted in some way, they can easily become targets of bullying. For you see, the bullies may be jealous of the abilities of these children. They may be jealous of their intelligence or their creativity or their gift, if you will. So as a result, they bully these children. Popularity. Some children may bully others. They may feel threatened or intimidated by those children who are more liked, if you will, or more popular in a school setting or social environment. This sense of intimidation may lead to bullying others. Girls are more often likely to bully another girl than boys bullying boys. Indeed, perhaps you've heard the phrase mean girls or frenemies. These are girls who are bullying other girls. Religious or cultural beliefs. Those children who might practice a different religion or have a different cultural belief may be singled out by bullies. Different race. Children may be bullied due to their skin color or race. Indeed, these can lead to hate crimes. Now, to be honest, this type of bullying happens with all people of all races and skin colors, and this form of bullying knows no distinction. Success. Children who are successful in areas and gain attention and acclaim from it may be targeted by bullies. When a child is successful in school or sports, in music or art or whatever it might be, bullies may be jealous of the child's success. And due to their feeling of insecurity, the bully will target that successful person, that successful child, to intimidate them, to bully them, if you will. Different sexual orientation. Children who identify as gay or another sexual orientation are often bullied by their peers. Indeed, this can also lead to hate crimes. Now, whatever the reason, whatever the reason why children is being bullied, it is absolutely imperative and essential that the child who is being bullied be reminded that they are in no way at fault. The victim, the child who is being bullied, needs to be reminded that they do not have to change who they are in order to placate a bully. Whatever the reason behind a child being bullied, the victim needs to be reminded that they are just fine as they are and there is nothing wrong with them. Those victims need to hear this from you, from a parent, from a caregiver, from a CASA, from a caseworker, a guardian ad litem, a relative, whoever it might be. They need to hear this message day in and day out that there's nothing wrong with them. They've done nothing wrong. They are not at fault, and they do not have to change who they are in order to placate the bully. In truth, though, children in foster care are even more susceptible to bullying by their peers. For those children who have experienced some sort of trauma or anxiety in their life, it may lead to feelings of low self esteem, of poor social skills, of shyness. These children are often victims of bullying. These children are often targeted by bullies. Now, as we've seen here elsewhere at the Foster Care Institute, particularly in the webinar surrounding school challenges that children face in foster care, the more time the child is removed from one place to another, the more times they transition from one home to the next, multiple displacement, the more times they move from one school to the next, they become more vulnerable to bullying. When peers find out that their classmate, the new classmate, is a quote unquote foster kid, unquote, many times the bullying begins. Indeed, those children who have high, early exposure to trauma and anxiety, again, as noted earlier, have those feelings of low self esteem. What might those traumatic experiences look like? Well, indeed, we go into great detail here at the Foster Care Institute on the training webinar about anxieties and disorders for children in foster care, but let's briefly look at those again one more time. For children who have experienced drugs and alcohol in their family, or who have been neglected or abandoned, or maybe even imprisonment of a family member, they may have feelings of low self esteem. They may be vulnerable to bullying. As we've seen here in the Foster Care Institute, and as you probably know already, children who experience post traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, an anxiety disorder occurring after someone has experienced or witnessed an extreme traumatic event, many times these children are victims of bullying as well. For you see, these children feel overwhelming fear, terror, or helplessness, and are indeed vulnerable to being picked on or bullied. Children in foster care often suffer other forms of trauma and disorders, including depression, adjustment disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, acute stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, eating disorders. And once more, we go into much more of this and include other forms of trauma and disorders in the at-home online training webinar, Anxieties and Disorders for Children in Foster Care, right here at the Foster Care Institute. And I would encourage you to watch that or rewatch it to familiarize yourself with it. Once more, those children who experience these and other forms of trauma and disorders, these children who are placed in foster care, these children who are placed in foster homes, much like yours, are often easy targets for bullies. In part two of this two-part webinar series, we will examine in depth the many strategies that you can implement on how to help a child who is being bullied, on how you can prevent and stop bullying, and what you should do for those children who have been bullied. Again, that will be in part two of this two-part webinar series. For more information, simply go to the Foster Care Institute. For questions about this webinar and other questions, simply contact me at drjohndegarmo@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook as well as Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Dr. John DeGarmo Foster Care Institute. Foster parenting is hard. Foster parenting can be draining and exhausting. So many of us need daily inspiration, daily encouragement. The Little Book of Foster Care Wisdom, 365 Days of Inspiration and Encouragement for Foster Care Families, is a book that will give you the encouragement and inspiration and daily tips that you need as you care for children in foster care. And you can find that book and many other books at the Foster Care Institute. Children in foster care are often victims of bullying. Children in foster care need stable, safe, secure, compassionate, and most important, unconditional loving families just like you. I want to thank you for being a foster parent, for being a caseworker, for being an advocate for children in crisis. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo. Thank you for all that you do for children in need, and thank you for participating in this online training webinar.